Hey, welcome to Crazy Talk. I'm Dave, and that's Dennis.
Ah, Dave.
Hey, it's been a little bit. We've been busy sweating in the Texas sun, but I'm glad to be able to get back to you today by the miracle of Zoom. I wish they were a sponsor. I wish they had stock in Zoom. How about you?
Oh, boy, me too.
Hey, talking about stock, did you watch anything on the stock market today?
I didn't. It was down a little bit. My stocks didn't do real well.
Well, but there were two stocks that split today, and one of them you're a little bit in on. I think you know a little bit about Tesla.
Did it split?
It went a 5-for-1 split.
Okay, so what did that take the price down to?
444 is where it opened at today. Oh, man. And it closed at 499.
It's going to go back up. People don't care.
I'm telling you, my son jumped on some Tesla. He doesn't have a pot to pee in, but he bought some Tesla. And I thought about it, but Apple split too. They went four ways, and they opened at about 120 something. So I got in on some more Apple. It only gives me about, with the split that happened and all, I've got a lot of shares. I probably should have bought some Tesla.
Well, you know, Apple's a good solid stock, so I wouldn't worry about it.
I have a hard time spending $400 because I'm just a little guy on one share of stock.
I know.
And I couldn't afford more than maybe 2 or 3 shares at the most.
Right.
So you would say, "What's in your portfolio?" I'd go, "Well, I got 2 shares of Tesla."
Well, no, you don't tell them how many shares.
You go, "Ooh, 2 shares? You big spender."
Let's see, I'm invested in Apple and Tesla. How about you?
Yeah, I tell you what, Tesla, you're right. I don't think it's going to hang at 497. I think it's going to go back up.
It'll blow up.
I think so too. So there's your stock tip for the day. But I know you've been busy, even though it's hot. You've still got some farming to do out there at the ranch, don't you?
Yeah, the animals stand outside in it, so we get in it a little bit too. But going back to the stock and everything, that's like our place, you know, it spans over 2 counties. You know,
I didn't realize that you were in 2 different counties.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's only 18 acres, but, you know, I don't tell people it's only 18 acres. I just tell them we've got a farm and it spans over 2 counties.
I think it's great. Great. Well, hopefully one county's cheaper than the other.
It actually is, but unfortunately, that's the 2 acres or 2.5 acres that's out there. But that's in the back. But yeah, we've been out in the farm and working, you know, playing with the animals to make sure they're okay. The cows have a new home, but they're going to probably come into this week and pick them up.
They're still with you. Last time we talked, you had got them sold.
Yeah.
But now, did we have a baby cow?
No. We just have Neddy and Ruby. So
yeah, you get ready to have a goodbye party. How do you have a goodbye party for a cow?
Oh man, you put party hats on them and everything. Give them the little balloon things to blow out.
Invite their friends from nearby farms to.
Absolutely. Their family, you know, Ruby's brothers are all next door, I think, still. So they'll come over for a
party. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So it'll be fun.
Soon. So tell me, you had grandkids at the house the other day?
We did yesterday. They came over and actually it was only one of them. The other one had to work. And Tessie and Andy don't have kids.
Right.
They have dogs and they leave them at home. So
granddogs stay home.
Granddogs stay home. Parker came over. He got to shoot his BB gun again. That's his big thing that he wants to do when he comes over. He is 7 years old, I think, and he is he likes guns. So we're trying to teach him gun safety, and we're trying to teach him everything he needs to know.
Well, you're going to have to keep me under wraps here, because when it gets this hot, I keep thinking I need a pool, or I keep thinking I need a boat.
Oh,
so wake me up and tell me no.
Neither one, because the I've told you before, the best days of boat ownership is the first day you get it and the last day that it goes.
I try to remember that.
As far as a pool, you end up cleaning a pool for all your neighbors and your friends that come over and swim because, we had a pool over at the other house.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we got in there maybe twice a year, maybe. So
that's a lot of work for a 2 times a year kind of deal, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and then I was paying some guy to put the chemicals in it and clean it, and that was costing me $175 a month. So we really saved a lot of money by moving out here on a lot of things.
Wow,
it's not bad. We like it.
Yeah, well, no pool that saves on your water bill. Of course, you're using water for other things now, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, but again, drilling the well has solved that problem too.
Oh, that's right. No such water like a well water, because a well water won't run dry.
That's right. You hope not, anyway.
Okay, so I know you've been busy, but there's been a lot going on in our world around us. So let's just pick your brain here. What's on Dennis's mind? What has happened lately in the world that you've got a hot opinion on?
Well, I found something, a couple of things interesting. They say that the support for the Black Lives Matter movement is down about 50% from where it started on the George Floyd thing. And it's because of all the riots and everything going on. I've been watching some videos of, and it's not a Black person thing. It's not an African American thing anymore. It's a bunch of thugs out there, as many whites as there are blacks, as there are Hispanics, and they're taking baseball bats to car dealerships and smashing in windows and tearing up people's businesses that they have nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter situation. They haven't
Black
done
Lives
anything,
Matter?
Sir.
They're using the name Black Lives Matter, though?
Well, sure. Well, that's the reason why they're out there marching, or they're out there, or they're out there rioting. But that's the reason why they say that they're out there. And it's happening mostly in Democratic cities, in the cities that are run by Democratic mayors, and in the states that are run by Democratic governors. And why doesn't anybody sit back and look at the entire picture like that? I don't know. It's hard for me to understand.
We're just simple pawns in the game of life. I don't know. I have a hard time with this. I have a hard time with anybody who's upset and wants to destroy everything around them because they're upset, okay? If you want to tear up your own house because you're mad that the Packers lost or the Cowboys lost, or that there's a social issue that you're really unhappy with, and you want to take your sofa and cut it up and throw all the stuffing on the floor, and you want to rip up the carpet and bust out your windows, okay. You want to show you how mad you are? But to walk down the street or walk down to the marketplace and tear up somebody else's stuff because you're mad or because you're unhappy, I just don't think that's constructive. I don't think that's going to bring about the change that you want.
It's not. It'll bring about change, but it will not bring about the change that they want. And that's exactly right. I watched another video today too. And there were kids on this side of the car filming another kid across the street sneaking up on this old white guy. And hell, I don't know what he hit him with. He hit him with a brick or something, but and they're sitting there laughing while the guy's sneaking up on him. Wow. And they slam this brick on the back of this guy's head, and he goes down for the count. And they're laughing and thinking that's just so funny. And it's not.
Was this part of a riot or part of a protest or part of a thing, or was this just
part of a thing? You look at what we put on Facebook. I'd love for them to go, oh, well, let's see. We've got that IP address. We know that phone number. We know who this is. We're going to come get you. But who gives that much credit? Who gives that much time into going and taking care of a problem like that? The police got their hands full.
It's concerning about what, of course, the kids, I guess adults too now, they want to post things of controversial nature. They want to be able to I watched a video the other day, somewhat, a news clipping or whatever about one of the riots that was going on. Some kid drove his truck up to the neighboring, into Milwaukee area, I guess it was, and he went walking down the streets with a rifle. And he was there to help protect property, he said. And then people started trying to attack him, and I think he shot the rifle. He may have shot somebody. Of course,
now, if you're talking about the young fellow that was the EMT that went, and his mother actually took him there. He was 17 years old and carrying a long rifle.
I think so, but I'm sure he thought he had a good reason to go, but I just can't think that it was that good of a reason. Whether he shot somebody or not,
he should have never, ever been there. He should not have been there.
No, that's right. But for some reason, he thought that he could go with his rifle and make some kind of difference, when you could see that's a bad recipe for a bad thing. And I think he's up for, he may be up for a murder charge. I wish I was a little more knowledgeable on that.
I wish you were too, because this is a good discussion. What I am seeing on that is that from the video, there was a gunshot before he shot. He was actually, there's video of him going and helping the rioters that were down, because he was an EMT, trying to help with that. But he had gotten out of the area he was supposed to be in to go help somebody, and he tried to get back in. The police wouldn't let him back in. Some rioters started chasing him, and there was a gunfire. He shot back. He killed 2 people and injured 1. But it looks like from the video, I think he's going to have a good argument. His attorneys will have a good argument with self-defense, and they will get him for being 17 years old and being there with a long rifle. You have to be 18 years old and carrying it across state lines. Now, from what I do understand, again, his mother brought him across the state lines to be there. So I would imagine that she's in some kind of, she's going to have some kind of issue. But let's talk about GoFundMe.
Okay, let's do.
They had a GoFundMe page for him. They also had a GoFundMe page for the young black kid that got shot 7 times, reaching for a knife.
That's another story, yeah.
That is another story, but they've got a GoFundMe for him. He was reaching for a knife, or had a knife at the time when the officer shot him. But the GoFundMe people took down the site for the young man that is going to be, he's going to be found not guilty on the murder charge. Now, again, he'll be found guilty on some other stuff, but now GoFundMe is judge and jury.
Wow, it was a great concept. You could help people that are in need, and now people are, I guess, expressing their political views through contributions or something. I don't know, maybe I don't know, but the Milwaukee situation, I don't want to spend a lot of time because there's more pressing, there's a lot of pressing issues, but I just don't like these situations. I just don't understand 7 times in the back. Even if the man was reaching for a knife, you mentioned he was reaching for a knife. If he was reaching for a knife, I just don't know how many times you got to shoot him, though. 7 seems like it's a little bit much.
Again, once or 7, I think the man would have still been in trouble. The officer, even if he'd shot him once, that would have, I think we'd still have the issues that we have on the rioting. But again, let's talk about the facts. From what I understand is that he was, that he had gotten into that car, and that was not his car, and it was his wife's ex-wife or wife's car or whoever, that I believe he had a something anyway. So he had taken the car, and the reason that the police were called in was because the car was reported stolen by him. And I could be totally wrong, and if I am, somebody correct me. in the comments. But if that's the case, it all boils down to he was being arrested for sexual abuse against a minor. And if he'd have followed the rules, he'd be sitting in a jail right now instead of sitting in a hospital.
I think
handcuffed to the rail. How about that? I thought that was kind of ironic.
I mean, I think that's a good argument, and you hear that argument, but I'm getting a little tired of that argument too, though, because I know that all these guys are involved in this stuff with the police. If they would comply, the argument is, then they wouldn't have got shot. But I just got to tell you too that I think that there should be more restraint on the cops' part. I mean, you could have shot him in the leg. You could have shot him in the.
Oh no! Don't you be that way.
Yeah.
Don't you be that way.
Dennis, I'm afraid I'm at a point too where there's too many of these stories. There's just too many of these stories. And look, I support any good cop that there is.
You think the kid was going to knife him in the leg? Knife him in the arm?
Just find a way to incapacitate him. You don't have to shoot him 7 times.
They already tried to stun gun him, and that didn't work.
Well, I missed that part of the film, but
you sure did, I guess.
Well, they only show you what they want you to see, too.
Absolutely.
But
that's exactly right.
I have never been a law enforcement officer, and I never want to be. And I never expect perfection out of these guys these days, and that is not possible in any of our jobs that we do. Perfection is a great goal, but it's not hard. It's too hard to attain. But I just got to think there's a better way, isn't there, than to.
No, if you have to pull your weapon,
yeah,
and you have somebody going to try to physically harm you, I'm not going to shoot for the leg because you might miss the leg. If you miss the leg, you got to get a knife in the heart.
You got a bad leg. Yeah. Now look, we can agree to disagree all we want, because the problem in our society is we can't have discussions anymore without people just calling each other names like doofus and stuff like that.
I know.
And they can't do it without getting mad and throwing a fit. So, I want people to be able to have a discussion. I want us to say, hey, look, we can agree to disagree. Maybe the leg isn't the best way. I just think, even if you don't, 7 times in the back is just a little, excessive. I mean, to say a little is probably an understatement of a lifetime. But, again, I'm not in that situation. I don't know how I would have responded. Okay. Every police officer says, I'm going home tonight, and I understand why they say that.
Yeah, me too. No, I definitely disagree with you on that. If you're going to pull your weapon, if you have to pull your weapon,
yeah,
because you feel threatened, that's like saying, okay, Dave, somebody breaks into your house and they've got a knife.
I'd shoot him in the leg.
Shoot him in the leg?
Both legs.
That ain't going to happen.
I'd shoot him in both legs. Then he couldn't run away, and I'd call the cops.
Yeah, okay.
And they'll shoot him 7 times in the back.
Yeah, don't give out your address anytime soon.
I guess not. I don't want to sound like I'm milk toast and all this and that. But on the other hand, I'm just trying to use what I think is fair and logical reasoning. I might be wrong. That's okay. I don't mind you pointing it out if you say, well, you're wrong, and that's okay. Because we both have our own opinions, but man.
Well, we both agreed that the officer shouldn't have had his knee on George Floyd for 7 minutes.
I think we both agreed on that. Yeah,
we did, because that is excessive. And until we hear the rest of this story, which we still haven't heard, which I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Until we hear the rest of the story, I think there's just more to it. So wait and see.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that we only get to hear or see what they want us to hear or see. We get to see everything.
I saw a deal on Facebook that it was said if CNN was around when Japan attacked Hawaii, they would say that the Japanese were mostly civil as they were coming over Japan, coming over
They
Hawaii.
were a little irritated.
Yeah. So yeah, that is.
All right, you talk about Facebook. Let me tell you, I put one of my favorite posts on Facebook the other day. Let me tell it to you because I bet you didn't see it. There's the story about the husband and the wife. And the wife says, "Are you going to the store?" The husband says, "Yes." She says, "All right, well, while you're there," he goes, "What, get some milk." And he says, "Okay, I will." And she says, "If they have eggs, get 6. So the husband says, "All right." So he comes home and he has 6 gallons of milk. And the wife looks at him like, "What in the wide world are you doing with 6 gallons of milk? You fool. Why did you do this? Where are the eggs?" He goes, "What do you mean, where are the eggs? I told you that if they have milk, if they have eggs, then get 6. He goes, "That's right. You told me that, are you going for milk?" And I said, "Yes. And if they have eggs, get 6. I got to the store. They had eggs. So I got 6 gallons of milk. Isn't that what you wanted?"
Yeah.
To me, that illustrates the communication problems between husbands and wives 110,000%.
That's exactly right. Did you see where Joe Biden's got his website up now?
Really?
And did you see where Antifa.com was going to his website? And on the web page, it was saying, it was Joe Biden's web page. It was saying, "We will become the next president of the United States." And people are all up in arms. Somebody did.
Is this for real?
This is for real. I actually saw it. And, everybody's up in arms. Well, Antifa's part of Joe Biden's campaign and all this. and if you have any website knowledge at all, somebody took an Antifa page, Antifa.com. They took that and they directed it to Joe Biden's page is all that's happened. I'm absolutely.
Well, Joe should have a better webmaster than that, though. He should have somebody fighting off these.
No, there's no way, because all they're doing is directing. It's whoever had the Antifa page, they directed it to that page. So there's no way, I'm sure there's ways to block that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm not aware of it. But, and that's all that happened. But, people are all up in arms going, well, they're all part of Antifa now and everything. And it's the same BS that they did with President Trump when he was running 4 years ago. So, it's going to be an interesting campaign on both sides.
Oh boy. Since we last talked, we've had 2 conventions. I've watched about 5 minutes combined of both conventions, none for one party, and about 5 minutes because Ivanka Trump is pretty good looking. So I had to watch at least 5 minutes of that one. And I'm going to tell you that I couldn't listen to either side. This election that's coming up, we're in September now, and so the election is in November. It's fixing to heat up, and I think it is going to bring out some ugliness, and I think it is going to be hotly contested. What do you think?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I did watch the 70 minutes or 74 minutes that the president spoke.
Really?
And I watched it on ABC too, and right after he got through, it was like watching the Democrat response to the State of the Union address, because they were going, well, he's lying about this, and that wasn't really true about that, and it was really interesting.
They got after him, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's very obvious where everybody stands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any middle ground anymore. I think you're either. I think I've read that Trump has closed it down to 6 points or less behind Biden.
And that happens.
You get a bump. What?
You get a bump after convention. So
you're going to get a bump after convention. So, I just don't know. I think all these people, when we get to social protests, if they really want to have a message and they really want some kind of change, then they really need to practice the one thing that they really need to do, and that is to vote. If the message was more of go out and vote, come up and I'll sign autographs and you register to vote. Come on, whatever they need to do to get the vote out to help whatever side they're on do better in the election, they got much better chance than any slogan or anything else they can come up with is to get similar people like themselves who think like they think to come in both sides, think whatever side you want, and vote. You know, Trump lost the total number of votes in 2016, but there is the Electoral College, which of course the Democrats wanted to get rid of after they lost the election, and which is a history lesson for another day. But you've got to get out to vote. If you don't like things, you go vote and change it.
It doesn't matter if the Republicans are in office. It doesn't matter if the Democrats are in office. Until we sit down and talk about this social injustice that there is, until we sit down and discuss it and come up with solutions, all this just continues to be part of the problem. Well, Joe Biden is not going to do anything for those people. He is not. He's not going to do anything for you and me. He is not.
Oh, no.
And I don't know, unless they find some inlet to Trump, I don't know if he's going to do anything about it either. I don't know who does anything about it.
I'm disappointed in that. I would think Donald Trump, in all the negotiations, boardroom settings, everything else he may have been in, would recognize the value of some type of conversation, mediation, discussion.
Totally
he could bring in leaders from both sides and say, tell me what's wrong. Tell me how to fix it.
And we don't know if that's not happening. You know, that could be happening, and we just don't know about it. But who is the leader? I don't know. You know, again, we've talked about this in several different times. Yeah. You know, Martin Luther King was the leader of the group. Malcolm X was the leader of the group. Interesting man. I watched a video on him from the 60s the other day. Yeah. And, of course, I remember all of that. But, you know, there were people that you could sit down and talk to. I don't know who you talk to on this social injustice stuff. Who do you talk to?
From the sports side, you know, you can call LeBron James and say, because LeBron's very unhappy and he's a very, very verbal and vocal critic. And you'd say, come on, LeBron, come in, talk to us, and let's hear how you and a lot of the other players feel. And hopefully they represent more than just players. Now, I'm not saying LeBron James is the next Malcolm X or the next Martin Luther King, but I mean, name-wise, you'd go, "Oh, LeBron's over there talking to him."
Right.
I think you could do worse by asking LeBron James to come in, but I'm disappointed in our president when he hasn't, to our knowledge, tried to broker and bring people in. I mean, I know his message in the convention was law and order, law and order, law and order. And I respect that. I love Law and Order myself. Great TV show. It's a joke. But what I really want to say is that he should be trying to pull people in to say, tell me what you're unhappy with. How can we fix this?
Let me ask you this. Did you know anything about the peace treaty between Israel and the Palestinians?
I think you and I talked about it in our last podcast. It got almost zero news coverage, and yet it's almost basically Nobel Peace Prize worthy stuff.
Right. But we didn't know anything about the negotiations of it while it was happening. And maybe that's happening now. We can only hope and pray that it is.
It could be because, you know, the media doesn't want to give him any credit if he would pull somebody.
Oh, hell no. That's right.
It's a fine day that we're living in a world now that we got to suspect that the people who bring us the information are so slanted that we can't ever get it straight, and we don't trust it, or we imagine that it could be happening when it's not because we don't trust them to tell us if it is.
Right.
It just makes you want to just go blah.
Right.
All right, so let me tell you the next big story I got for you, okay? Has this ever happened to you? I was in the supermarket. The supermarket's where everything happens. I'm telling you, it is the lifeblood of all of our lives. I was going to buy eggs, back to eggs again. I watched
You got 6 gallons of milk.
This guy has opened up about 5 cartons of eggs, and he's taken a couple of eggs out of one carton, and he's putting them in another carton, and then he's taking one out of another carton, and he's filling up his carton. He's cherry picking eggs.
Yeah.
And I looked at that guy with total disgust. And he moved on, and I looked for the first carton of eggs that I could find, and I opened it up because I always look to see if there's any cracked.
Absolutely.
All right, because there's a cracked one, I don't want it. I'll either put it back or whatever. So I open up a carton of eggs, 12 eggs. It's missing one. There's 11 eggs in there. So after I just looked with disgust at that guy for picking eggs out of different cartons, guess what I'm doing?
Picking eggs out of different cartons.
I'm picking an egg out of a different carton so I can have 12.
Hey, did he lick the eggs? Was he licking all the other ones, putting them back in there?
I'm just telling you, I don't know how many times in my lifetime that I have run into people where I look at them and go, I can't believe you would do that. And then I find myself in the same circumstance and I do the exact same thing. Yeah. I don't know if that's deja vu or that's just stupid,
karma,
stupid or whatever.
It's karma.
But, it's karma. Yeah. Is that what it is? I hate it when I pull into a parking spot and somebody's parked a little bit closer to the lane than they should. So I have to park closer to the next lane to be able to fit in. Well, when that person leaves and another person drives up, they look at my car and go, look at that guy, how irresponsible he was in parking. And when I come out, they're looking at me all disgusted, and I'm like, no, wait, that's not my fault. There was a truck there earlier, and it was in the, and they don't want to listen, and you can't explain it. And so it's just bad karma, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Teresa used to work out at Mazda and out in Midlothian, unloading the railroad cars with the cars. And this is trick. This is what we should have been taught all these years to do. But they parked all the cars on, I don't know which side it was, the right or the left line. They parked them all on that line. So once every car parks on that line, you get the equal space all the way across.
Yeah.
So, see, we should be doing that in life, but we don't.
I don't know. Okay, so my last grocery store tip. I was looking at prices yesterday doing my trip around the grocery store, and you would know this better than anybody I know. What's the markup? 50%? 60%? What's the markup? Just typically, what would it be? I know you might say
if you're talking about a jar of mayonnaise, you're looking at probably in a grocery store, probably about a 15% markup.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. If you're looking at meats, meats probably have about a 40%. Produce has about 35%. You get to the general
merchandise and Cokes and stuff. Chips and Cokes and stuff like that. Snacks.
It's according, if you're talking the front end snacks, they're probably 45, 50%. But if you're talking about the bulk stuff in the back, you're probably only talking about 35 or 40.
Wow.
General merchandise, you're talking 50%.
I was just looking at the prices. I'm telling you, my grocery bill just is not going down. And I'm making a serious effort to buy less. And it's still $80.
When I was sacking groceries, and we used paper sacks, the big paper sacks instead of the plastic bags.
Weren't you at Winn-Dixie?
Winn-Dixie, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd put $10 worth of groceries in a sack. You could average it out. If you got six bags, you can almost bet you spent $60.
Wow.
Now, if you've got 6 bags of those paper bags, you probably spent $300.
Man.
It's crazy.
It is. It's just something. I mean, I don't eat out as much. I guess that's virus related. I eat more at home, so I guess I buy more groceries, and I'm paying more for those. So I don't know. I mean, if that's my biggest complaint, I'm fine. But we got a lot of things around us that are a lot worse than that, and I guess I'll be just fine. We didn't talk because we're running out of time. We're up against it here in just a moment, but we didn't talk too much about the pro sports leagues. You called it. You said weeks ago, I'm not watching anymore. Well, I thought you were kind of a little bit cuckoo, but you know what? There is a large number of people who are walking right in your shadow, Dennis.
Yeah, and it happened when they started boycotting the games too. Even worse.
Yeah, and then they boycotted the playoff games in basketball. The NFL, lots of teams didn't practice.
Yeah.
Baseball called off games, including our little Rangers.
Yeah.
And I think fans are just like, okay, this is our diversion. We want to watch you guys play without having to think about serious issues in the world.
Social injustice, anything.
Those are good issues. They're very serious. But, many fans, I think there's a time and place for that discussion.
There is a time and place, and not playing baseball because of it is not one of them. Because that person that didn't play baseball that night, if he went and, donated his time to do something, got out there and got on the television, he can do a lot of things.
Well, I think
for social injustice.
I would like to see this momentum of trying to do things to change things continue, because I'm tired of every time something happens, we have an outcry and then we go back to regular life. Right. So, but boycotts and stuff like that is not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, let's, organize a group, that is going to do good, that's going to show up and do something that's just outstanding.
Get a player from each team and put a committee together.
Sure. Yeah.
Have them get together and decide what they're going to do, not for the game, but for society. And that's where it needs to head. And I'm surprised that they don't see that.
Some of these players with the high profile that they have would speak out and want to say, something. I'd listen. If they said, hey, listen, we're having a program on Channel 8 tonight, and speaking is Mike Trout, or speaking is Russell Westbrook, or whoever a great player is. Maybe not Westbrook as much as maybe Kawhi Leonard. That guy's good. If Leonard wants to talk, I'd be willing to listen to what he has to say.
Okay, but where does that take us? That takes us to an hour of television time listening to him talk about it. We know that there's a problem.
So you want to see action.
Give me a solution. Because if you continue just to bitch about the problem, you stay part of the problem. But if you propose a solution to go toward, then you're part of the solution.
All right. I like it. We need to do something. I hope to hear something happening in a positive vein. They're back to playing, which is fine. But, I don't want the reason that they boycotted, I don't want that to be forgotten. I don't want that incident to be forgotten. I want there to be a discussion, just like we were having, even if we didn't agree. And I want something to come out of those discussions. I just don't hear enough of that going on between the key players. I don't mean players on teams now. I mean mayors and governors and the people that make the real decisions. I just don't hear enough of them speaking up to say, I want to bring in the very best folks to talk and give us a plan so we can really move forward with this.
Right.
And so
there you go. That's the only way it's going to be solved. Any way we're going to get there, that's the only way it's going to do it.
Yeah.
You don't see them doing it politically either right now. The Democrats aren't going to do it because if they fix something before the election, well, then Trump's going to get the credit for it.
Yeah, it's a hot potato. Yeah, they're not going to do anything because they're afraid that 45 might get any credit. All they want to do is sit back and gripe and complain and point and gripe and say, look, told you so. This is his fault. This is his America. That's what they said in their convention, isn't it? This is Donald Trump's America. So, of course, they're the ones that have put everything in place, but, we can point fingers all we want.
Exactly.
People have a chance to say what they want to say in November. And you know what? If my guy loses, I'm not going to go cry about it.
Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go stand out in the middle of the street and block traffic? No.
I'm
gonna wait 4 more years, and I'm gonna vote again.
I'm not going to tear anything up either. Okay, unless it's yours and I don't like it, then I'll tear it up and say, "Take that, Dennis."
Well, my neighbor today needed a speed square, and he didn't have one, and I had 3. So I wasn't here. He came over and got it, took it and used it. I called him up. I said, "I'm going to be like the Democrats. I had 3 and you had none. So go ahead and keep that one, and I'll just have 2."
What are you doing with 3 speed T squares anyway?
Speed square?
Yeah, whatever you call it, T squares.
Speed square. It works angles and stuff.
What are you doing with 3 of those?
I've collected tools along the way, whether they were my dad's or somebody else's.
You're taking somebody else's tools, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doubled up.
Yeah, I think somebody's name was on that one that you let your neighbor keep. That's why you let him keep it.
It was somebody else's name. You're exactly right. How do you know that?
I got to tell you, I am fixing to have the biggest bowl of Frosted Flakes for dinner that I've ever had. I could eat for days. Actually, not for days, but when's the last time you had a bowl of cereal for dinner?
But a couple of nights ago, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I had a turkey leg for dinner. We eat around 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Yeah.
So I had a turkey leg for dinner. And, I'll eat a little bowl of cereal or something at night just to tide me over.
I just rediscovered a bowl of Frosted Flakes about a week ago, and I thought, you know what? I haven't had a bowl of cereal like that in 15, 20 years.
Really? Ours is super sugar. Ours is the bear.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, listen, I'm going to see my bowl of Frosted Flakes, and you've got to get ready. It's late for people out on the farm.
Oh, yeah. She talks crazy talk.